Good
We're playing with it all.
morning.
Good
Good
morning,
morning, everyone. It's 6 a.m. on the 26th of March.
We've got an applause machine. That's very special. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Please put in the chat where you're watching from. Hashtag KMT for a chance to win.
Dr. Kiltz hat on his head.
Okay.
yeah,
And
one of our hats.
we're going to be talking to Dr. Dan. But before we do that, remember to put your questions in the chat. Do you have any announcements, Alia?
I think there's a couple. Join the Kiltz Method tribe community. It's free. It's for everybody. I put a little QR code here, so it's very easy for you to just click on it and join the tribe if you're watching, not on your phone, I guess, watching from anywhere else.
Nice.
And Dr. Nelson wants to talk about some events.
Yep. Just remember, cholesterol code film screening in April twice, St. Petersburg on the 6th, Orlando on the 22nd, and then Long Island and Queens in New York, April 11 and 12. And being a member of KMT is free. So if you're not a member,
Dan, are you a member?
Pretty good. Yes, I am. Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Jumped right.
all right.
I'm
Well,
going to introduce Dan.
Alia has a past life in
Many of them.
Chicago, so she's gonna introduce Dr. Dan.
Don't make me cry.
I had finished one career when I was 32 and pregnant, and Dan graciously offered to have me work at his office, and I was there in the office at the front desk for many months, and that was
Dental office, if people don't know.
Like, he was a dentist. I mean, he is a dentist. That's the point.
I am. So, yeah.
And so I worked at his dental office in Chicago, and we had some fun there. So Dr. Dan is a dedicated professional on a mission to bridge the gap between oral health and metabolic wellness. After years of struggling with the keto relapse cycle, Dan found his way to ancestral human nutrition through the work of Dr. Ken Berry and the inspiring community of the Kiltz Method tribe. Following a transformative experience at the Tampa Meetup, Dr. Dan transitioned from a content consumer to a dedicated carnivore doer. In his practice and in his advocacy, he highlights the standard American diet, SAD, as the primary architect of modern dental crisis, from the epidemic of crowded jaw structures in children to the world's most prevalent infectious disease, tooth decay and gum disease. Dr. Dan joins our KMT morning meetup to discuss why our species-appropriate diet is the ultimate tool for a healthy mouth and thriving body. There you go. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank
Happy
you very
to have
much.
you, Dan.
Well, Dan, I've met several times and is always inspiring and caring. And it is an interesting thing because I remember as a kid, I had bad teeth. But blessed, I only had one time, 7 cavities, and I managed not to lose my teeth except my wisdom teeth. Right. And please share with all of those listening why the mouth, the teeth, and the gums is such an important marker of what's happening deep within us in our health and wellness. Now we can change that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really appreciate being able to speak with you all today. It's like this is my coming out party here today for sure. I'm probably the best kept secret in dentistry. I just keep wanting to go out there and I pull back, go out, pull back. So it's been a real yo-yo excursion for me these last several years. Boy, I guess there's one thing I want you to take away today, or a couple of things. One is that this principle that form follows function. So everything in the body is a function. And if the function is operating correctly, the form will be correct. So you'll be able to see it, measure it, feel it, whatever that is. So that's like a real key principle that I've learned. Again, my career is long. I told Dr. Kiltz earlier that I started out as a pig dentist and then became a human dentist. So I've experienced quite a lot of teeth in my days. Mothers would give birth to maybe 8, 9, 10, 12 piglets. And all these piglets were born with little sharp called razor teeth. And if we didn't remove those within a day or two, the mama would get pretty mad, when she was feeding the babies, and then, may not even roll over and let the babies feed if she got too sore. So I think a veterinarian showed my dad how to do that one time. And my dad passed it down to all of us brothers, and basically a little wire cutter go snip, 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 and put them back in with mom, and everybody was happy. So they never missed a meal. So I did a lot of work on the farm. I grew up in north central Illinois, Livingston County. If anybody knows Illinois very well, there's a couple of big counties in the center of the state that's responsible for about, I don't know how much a percent of the production of corn and soybeans. At least that was back in the day. So that's the farm I grew up in. I had almost a 2 square mile backyard, over 1,000 acres that we farmed. We raised 1,000 head of hogs every year. That's what kept us busy in the off when we weren't planting or harvesting. Then my dad had work for us with the pigs. Prior to that, we had cattle, beef cattle, and chickens. My grandmother, my only surviving grandmother, had a egg house or whatever, chickens with eggs. And so she would, at the age of 75, she was out there collecting eggs, cleaning them off, putting them in a crate, and off to Chicago they went. And that's kind of where all of our livestock went, was to Chicago. Everybody familiar with the Chicago Board of Trade and the stockyards back in the days. That's where a lot of the hogs and beef went to for processing, and then out to the rest of the world. So it was fun. It was fun growing up. There's always something to do. Again, I was the youngest of 7 kids. I had 3 brothers and 3 sisters. So when my oldest brother started leaving the house, he went to University of Illinois, lasted 1 semester at college, and then dropped out. So then the Army got him very quickly back in the early 60s when Vietnam was ramping up. So he did a 2-year term with the Army. Luckily, he wound up in California. Never had to get shipped off to Vietnam, but he did a military service there. Dr. Kiltz and I are just months apart in age. So he celebrated his 70th. Mine's coming up in July. So we're very much, going into that.
Young.
That's 70. Very, very true. So we happened to meet because another classmate of mine had a 70th birthday party down in Florida, and I attended that. And when I heard Alia was, nearby, and meet Dr. Kiltz, it was just like meant to be. I couldn't pass up that opportunity. So that's kind of, so my 2 brothers, they were, close together, and the second one got smart and said, well, I'm not going to get drafted. I'm going to enlist. So he did 3 years, but he could choose more of his tours. He went to Germany and Vietnam. Germany and Korea rather. So he worked there in the military and served our country in a different capacity. So, that put me, by then I was maybe 6 or 7. So it was like, okay, I had to put on the boots, and I had to get out there and, schlep the buckets around and slop the hogs and do whatever we did with the pigs. And the fun thing was my dad was always just introducing more technology into the whole process of feeding the animals and taking care of the animals. The pens got smaller and smaller while the numbers grew and grew. So we, started moving toward confinement, not quite the better lifestyle for the animals, but we got them to market very fast. We did, a lot of 4-H. My last year in 4-H, we took a pig. We took the biggest one from a litter. There was a competition for who could grow the biggest, the fastest, with the most ham and loins and bacon. So we took this pig from a piglet to 285 pounds in about 4 months, and won grand champion at the state of Illinois for the most productive. It was not a show. It wasn't not a pretty pig. It had to be on the hook, not rather than on the hoof. So it definitely performed. And my dad would get all sorts of concoctions and foods to feed the hog, to make it happy. Like we had literally strawberry flavored little pig pellets that they just loved. They just ate those up like crazy. So we were doing food additives to our food. Did you have a question, Dr. Kiltz?
No, keep going. We sweeten up. I mean, I guess we even sweeten up the animals' food, domestic animals, to get them to eat more.
Yeah.
Like we do also.
Yeah, exactly. And we increased the protein. That was, the corn had a certain level of protein, and then we had the soybeans. So we would get them processed at a local mill where we get the cornmeal. They'd keep the oil. So if we added the cornmeal to the feed, we blended in with it. So we'd up the protein when they're in their growing stages. So we jack it up to about 14%. And then when we were finishing the hogs, then we would drop it down to 12% and so forth. And that period of time was when all the, fat is bad came out, the cholesterol, high cholesterol. Of course, the doctors, got my dad onto cholesterol medicines, and I don't know how many years it was, but before he had a massive heart attack and left at a very young age of 61.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, again, the science changes all the time, and the recommendations and so forth. So, for all of our brothers, we're all like, okay, let's all see if we can make it to 61. So I'm always keeping an eye on them. I did lose one brother to COVID. He had a lot of risk factors, smoked, from the Army, learned how to smoke non-filtered cigarettes, and did a lot of things. He had a dentist pushed a root up into a sinus, so his sinuses were all blocked and cloudy. I didn't see him till late in my dental career. I don't know, Balia, was he around when you were there? My brother Jim would come up, but anyway, but COVID took him for one reason or another. He had age and a lot of things, not risk factors that were not working in his benefit. So it was a wake up call, for me, definitely.
He called him up. Time for him.
Yeah.
Yep,
and I hear a little knocking now. I found out I had a deep vein thrombosis in my left leg. I took a 29-hour pickup truck ride from center of Montana to Chicago, helping a guy move there. And, he wouldn't stop. We wouldn't take, we took bathroom breaks, but it's just like, please, let's get a bed. Let me lay down, for a little bit, because my leg was killing me and I couldn't. So sure enough, a couple months later, diagnosed with a DVT, deep vein thrombosis on my left leg. And,
wow.
They scanned my lungs. They said, yeah, your lungs are clear, but you've got aortic aneurysm. So I had 2 aneurysms, and that kind of led me to find Dr. Philip Ovadia online, and was talking to him because he's wrote a great book, and he was at the meetup there in Tampa. It was great meeting him in person. And so I've got another scan in May, and I'm just crossing my fingers and praying that that this diet will kind of slow that progression down. It's been measured many times, and it's like getting to the point where they're sharpening. The surgeons are sharpening their knives and starting their chainsaws. So they want to cut my chest open, and that's prevention. That's a preventive procedure to put in a new aorta. So it's like, imagine what the actual cure would be. So that's a little scary right now, and I've got that working for me. But I that's where I'm at kind of now with my health challenge, and keto was something I first looked at, and I had some good success. I'd roller coaster a bit, and I've always had a sweet tooth, like Dr. Kiltz. It was just sugar was everywhere growing up. My mother even had a candy drawer. We called it the candy drawer in one of the chests, where she would buy all these penny candies or nickel candies from the 5 and dime in the county seat of Pontiac, Illinois there, and would bring them back and throw them in there. And I was just, we just sitting there watching TV. That's when the cartoons were on, and you're constantly snacking. So those bacteria in my mouth had a constant barrage of food. So, there's, I got a lot more to my story. I don't want to take too much more time. Or you guys tell
you're
me.
Here. We love it. Keep going.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, the time is for you, and the questions are going to be for you. So.
Okay. All right. Good. Okay. Well, fast forward. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, ultimately, all of us have grown up in pretty much the same environment. And I mean, I guess your parents, my parents, they came through the war. Many of them were born in or around the Great Depression, and came from places of the world with war and famine and many other problems. I mean, it wasn't. In some way, I wonder if, again, we're blaming something for all of this, but we also don't understand the circumstances that all of us sort of came from.
Right.
And I mean, the farm was about feeding people, right?
Right.
And the more people you can feed, the better you can help people, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. We were, the United States was exporting, corn and soybeans, wheat, throughout the world. We were literally, the breadbasket of the world. And so we just, it was a great game to play. And, we played it in high school in our agriculture class. We had very fortunate to have a very brilliant ag teacher by the name of John Bartley. He taught at University of Illinois, School of Agriculture there. So we did experiments right outside of our high school, and we would do experiments with the distance between plants, planting soybeans. We have us out there, and he'd have a tape, a long string with tape every 2 inches or every 3 inches or, every inch and a half, whatever, to figure out what the optimum distance was for this soybean to grow up and to be the most productive. So it was quite a project, because we'd have, plant in the spring and then we'd harvest in the fall on this plot and have to weigh it all out. It was very exact. And, basically we found out that we were planting the soybeans too close together. And if you gave them, 2 or 3 inches apart, they could actually bush up. And when they bushed up, they would also shade the rows so that the shade would prevent all the moisture from leaving in the water. You know, we really lived and died by the rainfall that we had after we planted.
And obviously, you know, it's sort of most farmers or ranchers are not wealthy, and there's all these farm bills and farm aid and farm loans, which kind of set. I mean, ultimately, we're all come from a farming, mostly a farming background. You know,
Right.
ranching background is our nature. And when did you know you were in dentistry? When did you begin to realize the connection between the food we're eating and the damage to the teeth and the gums and its connection? And how do you think we can all change?
Well, the disease cycle, we learned about the germ theory of disease in dental school. I never heard that. It's a Venn diagram. Everybody knows a Venn diagram. You have these circles that are overlapping. And that kind of really stuck with me. And that was something, again, that I really fell back on. So the germ theory of disease replaced the miasma theory, which was bad air. So it wasn't until the plague where they figured out that the rats had fleas, and the fleas had this certain bacteria in their spit. And so when the rat would run over you and you know, and the flea would jump off and take a bite out of you, they would inoculate you with this plague germ, right? And so it was just the fact that somebody started to observe that, and they had the power of a microscope with them. So the microscope was, you know, what a great invention that was for medicine, to be able to see these microbes like never before. And actually growing up, that was one of my Christmas presents was a microscope. And it was just fascinating because I, you know, put some pond water or something and looked at it. It's like, it was just, everything was swimming. It was like, oh my God, it just opened up a whole new world. I just couldn't imagine. And so, you know, between that and a chemistry set that I got, I was just like, oh boy, this is going to be fun, you know. And I went to undergraduate at Loyola University in Chicago. So I left the farm, you know, went 2 hours north, and, you know, it was a big, you know, big deal to leave the farm. And, you know, I was the last child. My mother and I had a little moment there as I left, but, you know, it's like, hey, I'm going off, you know, to see the world. And I did. But it was just being able to observe. That's what I learned as a you know, farm kid. It was just like, you know, look for things. Look is your greatest tool that you have. You know, look, don't listen, kind of a thing. You know, you got, you know, two eyes and you know, one mouth. So definitely be looking and listening more than you're speaking.
Does the diet that we've been consuming for, you know, generations, essentially, and we could probably go back 1,000 years in the same thing, does that diet feed the microbes that may ultimately be the biggest cause of all disease, the germ theory, and it's really as simple as that? But the carnivore diet, because it should be high in fat, it suppresses the microbes.
Right. And that really was made clear to me at your talk at the meetup. You had so many wonderful speakers from all different, you know, walks of life and so forth. So it really made sense to me, or put all the things that I've seen and observed before. And then you put all these pieces together as a big jigsaw puzzle and said, yeah, fat doesn't spoil for the most part. You know, you can leave your butter out on the table, whatever, and it's always nice and soft and spreadable. So it made total sense. But and I knew that it was the germs that were affecting, you know, that's the germ theory of disease, is the germs that are causing this. And there's one particular one for tooth decay, which is called Streptococcus mutans. Not like it needs a name, but it wasn't until, you know, we actually identified what the main bacteria was. A lot of you probably have heard of Weston Price. He was a dentist a long time ago, and went to Africa and discovered, you know, that people that had a tough meat diet, whatever, their jaws were growing wider and longer and farther down, and they had tremendous air capacity, right? Look, they would come over and win all the marathons in the United States from Ethiopia because they could breathe. They had complete open airways. So I kind of developed an A, B, a C approach to dentistry, which is airway is king. Airway is number one. If you don't have the airway fully developed, you're going to have all these other hosts. There goes down your host susceptibility right there. That's that first triangle or first circle. You have to have the airway. B is for bacteria. You know, you got to control those bugs. You got to control those microbiome. You know, growing up on the farm, we had to do a lot of shoveling, a lot of manure hauling, and a lot of constantly to keep these pens clean so that the pigs would do what they're supposed to do, which was eat and grow and poop, so we had to handle the poop all the time. And it's the same way in the mouth. You have bacteria in there, they're eating, they're growing, they're doubling, and they're pooping. So if you're not controlling it with your hygiene, then you don't really stand a chance. It wasn't until late in my career, I was always planting dental offices, with chairs or dental chairs are the seeds, if you will, for a dental office. So, within a year of graduating, I was in practice for myself. I'd lost my dad a little bit a year before, but I just started, popping up these dental offices, and, one would grow, one wouldn't grow so fast. So then I would go over there and farm that one, and it really grew. And so I would have hygienists working for me. And it wasn't until late in life that I had to do my own hygiene. I was doing actually, half the dentists do their own hygiene, half of them, hire hygienists to do that. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, wow, this person's dirty. This person's dirty. They're all coming in, because I would see them as a dentist. I'd see them at the end of the appointment, and both the hygienist and the dentist or the patient, they were nodding their head. Oh yeah, I'm clean. Oh, I'm doing a great job brushing. Oh, I'll floss a little bit more. Making all these promises, but I was seeing it at the front end that they were missing, and they were consistently missing certain places. It was like began a pattern. So I just kept diving and researching and come up with an actual way to clean the mouth. And basically my philosophy is stop brushing your teeth and clean arches, just like stop the toothbrushing, because this 2-minute brushing is like, what's with the time? You're not running a half a mile here or whatever, it's just like, you're not trying to break a barrier. You're actually cleaning hard surfaces of the teeth, which leads me back to the science behind it. They were talking about the oral systemic link. Well, there is no oral systemic. The oral cavity is part of a system. It's part of the digestive system of the body. You only chew about 5% or 2.5% of your day is spent in chewing. So what's the mouth doing the rest of the time? Well, it's becoming the integumentary system, and everybody doesn't have a clue what integument means or integumentary. So Alia's shaking her head. It's like we learned it one time, but then we forgot it.
What do you mean by that? What is that?
Integumentary? Yeah. Well, it comes from the word integument, which is the tough outer coating of a plant, seed, or animal. So it's like, so do we have tough outer coatings? We're an animal, yeah. We've got skin, we've got hair, we've got fingernails. And guess what? We have enamel, just the enamel, okay? Tooth enamel and the gums that surround it. So this is a whole barrier. You have this whole system, integumentary system, devoted to maintaining a constant environment for you to live in.
What is it made of?
Organs. All systems are made of organs. Organs are made of tissues. Tissues are made of cells. And
what is the hardest? What is the hardest
material?
Natural material made?
Yeah, exactly. Tooth enamel. Yeah,
but think of the organisms. Which one makes the hardest of all organic products?
Well, I think it's still man with any animals with enamel, with teeth. I mean, teeth are. And how are you going to chew your food if you don't have teeth? How are you going to chew your meat?
It's wood.
Wood.
Plants.
Oh, in the plant world, sure, it's the wood, yeah. But in the animal world, it's the enamel.
It's made of glucose.
Glucose, sure.
It's a sugar.
Yeah.
So is our enamel and our skin a covering of sugar?
In a bit. The enamel is about 98% crystal in nature. But that's the salt. That's the rock. That's the
well, it's the glycocalyx. It's the sugar layer that nobody's talking about.
Right.
And I think that's the part that we're missing, because the hardest substance, think about it, is hard wood. I mean, besides a rock, it's wood. And wood is made of sugars, and the sugars of the glycocalyx create the integrity of the cell surface. But the tooth enamel is eroded by sugars and the molecule and the bacteria, yeast, and viruses or other parasites that basically feed on it. Isn't that what
the mouth is? You have a protein layer. Your saliva, you salivate, so that coats the teeth. First, you've got a nice hard rock, a dry rock, but your mouth is not dry. So the rock first gets coated with a little scum layer on the rock made of your own natural saliva. Again, there's glands in this integumentary system. The mammary glands is a gland of the integumentary system, the sweat glands, integumentary system. So it's not just the skin, but it's the skin and the glands and the nerve endings. So it's a system. It's kind of complex of various components.
But if we look at the glycocalyx, it explains everything.
Right. Well, the enamel did have the cell that made the enamel was like a little cement truck. And all these cement trucks lined up together, and they all dumped their cement out at the same time. They had a blueprint that said, build this tooth this far up, this far across, make a little point on it. And that was the blueprint. And the body said, okay, we're going to go to work. And when it's done, it's that those cells they left, they're no more there. This is the only enamel you'll ever get, is what you have right today. You'll never get another ounce of it unless a dentist puts it back on. Does that make sense? So it's a hard, flat surface. I know it's kind of unique.
Well,
the body's approach to it and why it did it.
The glycosaminoglycans,
sure,
are glycolipoproteins. That's the part that I think we're missing in the story, because why do microbes love the teeth?
Because the environment it's in.
Okay.
I go to the definition of hygiene. When I talk about the definition of hygiene to my patients, I go for Oxford Languages, which is the Google dictionary. It's conditions or practices conducive to good health and the prevention of disease, especially through cleanliness. What's next to godliness? Cleanliness. Cleanliness is next to godliness.
Although
what are the conditions of the mouth? What are the conditions of the mouth? It's warm, it's wet, it's dark, it's crowded, and about 2,000 pounds of food and liquid go through that every year. That's the environment. That's what's unhealthy, is the conditions, and you doing your own personal hygiene have to get those conditions correctly. That's the second thing. Your practices. What are your practices? Are you having a Coca-Cola all day long? Are you putting 10 teaspoons of sugar in your? I'm not saying you're wrong with with this layer of every cell, every living cell. But these living cells that made this, they're long gone. They left town, and they said, "Here's what you got, guy. Enjoy it for the rest of your life."
Well, interesting, but that's why what material is the strongest organic material? It's wood.
Well, true. Yeah.
It's the sugars that we are not talking about in this. We talk about proteins, but all proteins are post-translationally modified to give it its true function and structure. But I want to get back to so would you say, okay, so Coke and cereals and candy and even protein, lean meat, which is fermentable, are we just eating the wrong diet?
Oh, absolutely.
In order to maintain our healthy mouth?
Yes, absolutely. You'll probably, but hopefully you're still alive by the time you finally get it right. That's the whole thing. And that's the same way with teeth. Hopefully by the time you live long enough that you'll actually get how to take care of your own teeth correctly. Someone like myself will sit down with you one-on-one. I sit right next to the patient. I have, my arm around their head. No, it's not that bad, but I've got their attention. When I put that mirror in their hand and I got my 4-power loops and I'm looking down in their mouth and I plaque disclose them, Dr. Kiltz. I put this dye. It's used in training for hygienists and dentists, but then we stop using it. We got to train the patient. We don't have to train ourselves. We got to train the patient. And that's the second definition of hygiene. Merriam-Webster says it's a science of the establishment and maintenance of health. So so how do you establish somebody? How did you establish Alia to be your person? How did I establish her? I had to give her the purpose of what she was supposed to do. Here's why you're doing it. Here's what you're supposed to do. I had to give her a write-up of all the things. Here's how you answer the phone. Here's how you make an appointment, right? All the write-up. And then I gave her a statistic to measure her productivity, right? So you can have that same process when I'm teaching a person. It's just like, look, here's the purpose. It's to remove plaque from every surface of every tooth once a day. Okay. Clean teeth don't get cavities. Clean teeth, clean enamel doesn't get gum disease because that seal, look at your own fingernails. You got a hard substance growing out of a skin layer. And if it's clean, it's not gonna have an infected nail bed. If you go to a manicurist, they jab around and and then you go out and work in the garden. Yeah, you'll probably have some infected nails, but you're not going to do that if somebody uses science to establish you and maintain your health. And that's where hygiene is missing that first half. They want to do all the maintenance. Oh, come in for your 6 months. Oh, it's time for your checkup. Time. And then the dentist can say, oh, well, let's fix this or let's fix that or let's get this. We've been watching this for a while. So now we have this whole profession that is just uninformed. I started research when I finally figured this all out. I was like, oh my God, this was, right around the time then my second wife passed away from cancer. It's like, holy crap. We were going to go and do some stuff with this information. So I had a friend that said, look at the teaching standards. When is this supposed to be taught? And so I started Googling teaching standards. There's the Health Education Curriculum Analysis Tool. Health Education, 2006 was the first time 25 doctors came together and said, what things are we supposed to be teaching these kids in school, K through 12, right? That's where we've got a captive audience and we've got to teach them some health science. So they came up with a plan of 25 doctors. How many dentists? 0. No dentists in the crowd, but they thought, oh, you probably should brush your teeth. So we'll throw that into the mix of healthcare standards for teaching health. But it's taught in K through 2, and the kid can barely read at that age. And then you're going to start giving him all these complex things. Plus, he doesn't have a brush. I mean, it doesn't have a brush at the school. It doesn't have a sink to stand in front of. So then you try to get the mom engaged. The moms care. They care a lot, But then how do you do this whole education component? So that's where my real focus is. If I can start at the 6-year-olds and work forward, and I've got one that hit that mark already. I got more grandchildren on the way behind her. I've got 5 and whatever, but they're all going to come through that age. And already my granddaughter had 2 cavities in her baby teeth. It's like, well, they're practice teeth, but still, you need to have that healthy. But it's snacks. You're right. It's carbs. It's snacks. That's all these kids do all day long. Time for a snack.
We have a lot of questions for Dr. Dan.
I bet. I know. I better. Like I say, I could go on. I could, give me another hour. I'll be back. But
it's
amazing.
This is not really a question. It kind of is, Rick. Am I the only one who's not been to a dentist in 40 years?
That's very possible. I have no problem with that. I had a patient that would come in. I said, "Oh, you're so clean. Don't come back for a year." And I'd come back in a year, and it's like, let's go for 18 months. Let's go for 2 years. If you've got nothing in your mouth that's going to erode and rot and ferment, like Dr. Kiltz says, you got enough fat. There's no problems. I went to the dentist. I missed this whole message myself. I'm growing up, household of 9, we had maybe 4 or 5 toothbrushes in our medicine cabinet. And if I used one of my sister's toothbrushes, they were sitting on top of me and spitting on me. Well, I better cut that from there because if they listen to this, but they know they did it. They know they tortured me. They know they tortured me. All my sisters are wonderful. I love them all. They're all nurses. They all went into the health, the health profession. But it just, anyway, there's so much, and I'm working on this. Like I said, I've got this Clean Teeth Academy. I'm putting it all down so that moms can teach, hygienists, people can just plug in this thing and get this information in a short, little bite-sized pieces, no pun intended, so that they can actually, learn it, do it, and so forth, and hopefully come out with a better. But no, 40 years, I don't have a problem with that, not going to the dentist.
Dr. Kiltz, why we're losing our teeth.
Lack of growth development. Again, small jaws. The jaws didn't grow and didn't work. So you got 32. Like, where are we going to put them? There's no more room. Put them in the back. They're the last ones in. So last guy in, has a hard time.
So does the plant-based diet cause the inflammation that damages the connective tissue?
Yeah, it fuels
the joints. Which essentially is our problem. It's the poison substance of the plant sugars, protein-centric, low animal fat. I mean, basically, there's no animal fat in the majority of our diets because the majority of our diets are made of plants, plant seed oils, and lean meat, chicken, fish, it's all, nobody takes the whole animal and eats the whole animal. Right. They cut away the fat because the farmer, the rancher, is incentivized based on the system that actually wants fat out. And nobody really cares about the fat in selling it, because you're not getting paid for fat, you're getting paid for lean meat.
Right. That's what our hogs were too. They said, hey, lean them down. They're not marketable. The commodity is not as desirable. So now it became pork, the other white meat. They did a whole campaign about pork, kind of a thing. So it's totally about the fat. And it was just misinformation by the powers that be, the science that was trying to establish and maintain health. They weren't really using science. They were using scientism, as you say.
Yeah.
It's scientism. It's all it is.
Completely. But you get somebody that's out there looking. Ken Berry, he's a farmer. He knows this stuff. Ken and I, we talk the same language. There's just so many parts when you lived it all these years. I lived it for the first 20 years, all through undergraduate. And then I started to not come home so much because my other brother came back and farmed. So I didn't have to come back in the summers and stuff and work as much. But it's the farm life. I wouldn't trade it for all the tea in China, so to speak, or, all the gold in Fort Knox, because it was just, you're living life every day. It was just, I didn't even have college biology, and I got a higher score than the biology majors were on the aptitude test, because I just had common sense,
Right. Petri dish science. I call Petri dish science. And that's the problem with even the carnivore keto world, is because we're focused on all this metabolic pathways. That's not our problem.
No, it's not.
We're poisoned by plants, protein, and low-fat diet.
Exactly. Occam's razor, just like you said. I totally, that's the principle I live by. We used to have belt-driven wheels that for the drills. I mean, I'm sitting there at age, 1962, 6 years old, and Pitt and Fissure sealants had just come out. The sealants that would seal up the little cracks and crevices on your molars so that the germs couldn't get down in the hole, right? And I'm sitting there getting drilled out, and they're packing silver filling, amalgam, all bad, mercury, bad, fluoride, bad, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But the technology just couldn't get caught up fast enough and disseminated throughout the community. I mean, I'm in a little farm town, with this dentist. So how am I going to hear about what could be done, until I, get to school? But I was, I learned, I watched, I did it,
And it's a matter of life is not a matter of watching and learning. It's about wading into it, boots on, mud up high, and participating in life. Because when you're watching and you're thinking, and then you're learning scientism, then you come out. I always love all these experts in all of our worlds where we come out with the science says this. I mean, is science really maybe a lot of propaganda, and we just got to get back to our ancient roots as a rancher, a farmer, a hunter, a helper?
People are going too far too fast. They're trying to launch off of an aircraft carrier, right? Where they should have a little longer runway and they should have a little lighter airplane and just, take off a little bit slower, because the skill, you don't quite need as much skill to, take off at a nice flat runway and a gentle breeze or whatever. So, but because there's so much information out there, they just get flooded with information, and they're just trying to grab a little nugget here, a nugget there, and they're not putting it all together. They're just not putting it into an actual, what am I going to do about it? Now with this movement, carnivore movement, what you're going to do. You're going to eat animal. You're not going to stop eating plants. That's pretty simple. And that when you do go back to the plant world, it could have some repercussions. So that's pretty simple. That's a on-off switch right there, a black and white thing. The gray area is the processing. When you process food, cook it, chemicalize it, whatever you do with it, shred it, whatever.
You have a question here?
Yeah. Van Dan, can gum recession be reversed?
Just as easy as receding hairlines can be. Yeah, if you really want it to come back, it can. It's hard. It's kind of like trying to swim upriver. It's not the easiest route. The skin will attach to your teeth, your roots. The skin that's the integument of it. That's the integrity, is where the skin is fully grabbed onto the root surface. And every year, or every 10 years, you might lose 2 millimeters, and then 2 millimeters, and 2 more millimeters, and 2 more millimeters, until this tooth is so loose it falls out. That's why they're going around with that little ruler. They call off numbers. The hygienist wants to poke around and call off numbers. That just a little bit of an indication what's going on internally. But again, if they're bleeding, that means the bugs are eating through the skin. They've eaten through the skin layer, and they're going in. They're going in for wherever. They're going in looking for a blood vessel to swim up to the brain or swim to the heart or swim wherever they want to go with these bacteria. Leaky gut, leaky mouth, same thing.
Glycocalyx is damaged. The charge changes on the epithelial integument,
Oh, absolutely.
and the microbes invade. It's really a simple physics problem.
Yeah. It's the piezoelectric effect. You take a crystal and you bend it, and you can create electricity. You put electricity through a crystal, and you can also bend the crystal. So that's the effect, the piezo effect. And we even turn it into a dental tool to clean your teeth. It's a wonderful tool because it vibrates like like crazy. Everybody's buying these electric brushes that just do this. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, here's a shovel, here's a rake, go to work. That's what I did on the farm.
Dan, should a root canal teeth be removed?
That's such an individual individual person, because again, we're talking about treating diseases, so you have to evaluate. You have to have a professional evaluation. Does the fact that you have a root canal, now introduce bacteria deeper into your body? The kid breaks off his front tooth from the baseball bat. The nerve is completely alive. We can amputate it, close it off up at the root. It's about the size of a pinhole where it goes through. It's all sterile. It's all sealed up. There's never been a germ crawl into that center of the tooth. I'd say don't pull it. Just work on other areas of your health. Get your inflammation down. Get your diet correct with the keto. With the carnivore diet. And again, it's a bacalancing act. It's all a balancing act. It's these circles. A susceptible host. Are you being more and more susceptible as you age and destroy this? Are you controlling the bacteria? Is there bad bugs? Is another one. And then the third circle is sufficient quantity to precipitate out a disease. Again, a lot of science talk. I'm sorry to have to do this, but somebody will pick it up. I'm sorry.
Okay, it's good.
Yeah, but that's the germ theory. I would teach the patient. I would draw circles on a piece of paper. I would put a little plastic lizard in their hand. I said, that's a bug. Okay, now close your eyes. And then I drop 2 in their hand. I go, that was 15 minutes worth of work. That germ ate, grew, and multiplied and pooped on your hand. And now it's 2. Now close your eyes. And now there's 4. Now there's 8. Now there's 16. Right. And then, so that's where these bugs are headed. Now it's you against the germ, your host susceptibility. You got how virulent is that organism? COVID wasn't a super virulent organism, but when it was in a susceptible host, man, it just, 10 days, my brother was gone.
It was the right environment.
He drowned himself.
Right environment. We coexist with all these molecules and all these organisms, and we evolved because of them. And our challenge is the science is so confusing. When you said you learned by doing, and the simplicity of the story, because nobody in any of your education really said, you should really look at carnivore diet. It's the best thing for all of us.
No, we've definitely advanced in that area. This was the missing link. So I've got airway, bacteria, the chewings, ABC, chewing, and then D is either your diet or the dentist. You got those 2 choices. You're either going to the dentist or you fix your diet. And then you put it in an environment. There won't be many germs, so you don't have to worry about the bacteria. You got the airway. You're burning. Every fire needs oxygen to burn, right? You ever try to start a fire without oxygen? The movie Castaway with Tom Cruise. Oh, by the way, not Tom Cruise. What should I say?
Hanks.
Hanks. Thank you. Tom Hanks and I have the same birth. We're born on the same day, Dr. Kiltz.
Same year.
The Hank. Yeah, 56. Yeah, he's our age. Yeah.
He's our age. Yeah. He's our age. Young guy. Guy.
Yeah. He's a young guy, the hanker. But anyway, that movie, I'll tell you, when he took that ice skate and broke his tooth, he had a bad tooth. He took that ice skate and knocked it. Man, my business went up like that. Those people that are out 40 years, they're coming into my office and say, hey, could you check my teeth? I don't want to have to take an ice skate and knock my own tooth out, if I have a toothache, whatever. But my point was, he was trying to start a fire, right? The first fire he started, when he just moved those sticks a little bit apart and then the air got through there, boom, then the thing burst on fire. So we're a carbon burning machine here. We burn carbon. That's what we're a carbon engine, right? And that's why we need this tough outer coating to keep the temperature constant. If you live in Chicago, we got some pretty good heavy duty coats, right, that we put on. But this enamel, getting back to this enamel, it's it's a hard surface. It has to be cleaned, all right, because it will deteriorate. It's the size. If you took all your coats off, your enamel coats off, all your teeth, laid them all down flat, you would be about the size of the palm of your hand. Now let's say, boy, that doesn't look like it'd be that hard to clean the palm of my hand, brush my teeth, whatever, throw a toothbrush in there, let it go to work. Guess again, that's how we make our money. That's how dentists make money, is when you miss, I win. And that's a shitty game. And I said, I'm stopped playing that. I'm done with that. And I walked away from the clinical practice of dentistry. I'm going to education. I'm going to health science education, because that's where it starts. In the junior highs, high school, college, they don't know some of these key definitions, and they're just mimicking. They're just spouting off what somebody else says. And so it's time for a change. And I'm so glad. I hope you still accept me in the tribe here and so forth. Felt so welcome there. And if I have to do the glycocalyx pledge, I'll swear to get. I promise to put glycocalyx in all of my future talks. But brother, I love you. You're the best thing that's happened to medicine.
Well, I think ultimately the germ, when we use the word germs and parasites, they're all microbes, right? Yeah, it's the stuff that we evolved from. Without them, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
But it's sort of this, we're all introducing new ideas.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of fluoride?
It's a harder rock. It's just the periodic table. I got a periodic table behind me. The farther down the periodic table, the harder the rock. I don't know. It's fluoride and chloride are right neighbors. So there's over 1,000 compounds that are made with fluorine. With the element, fluorine is tons of compounds, and they're used in poison. But there's a difference between a compound and an element. Sodium chloride, sodium fluoride. That's an element. That's one single little atom all by himself. He says, I want an electron. He's swimming all around saying, I just need one more electron to fill my bingo card. Where can I find it? And he lands on something, and maybe he does. You're looking at the wrong thing. I mean, if you're that scientific, then go to work at a research institute and figure out something else. But I'm saying I figured it out. It's not rocket science. It's cleanliness. It's being trained. It's not the blind leading the blind. We've had the blind leading the blind all these years. Who taught you? Yeah. Who taught you how to brush? Yeah.
You're rocking the boat. It's rocking the boat.
Don't tell me that. I fell out of a boat a couple of years.
But meaning that we're rocking the boat here, because, and that's the beauty of social media, is that even though we're doctors, we didn't learn from our doctoring. We learned from our doing. Good, and experiencing the suffering and between ourselves and our family, our friends, our communities.
Right.
And we're like, why did we go into medicine? To hurt people or help people?
No, to help people, absolutely. Words are symbols. They represent something. Word is not the thing. I use the word doctor, but that doesn't necessarily say who I am. Where does the word doctor come from? What's the Latin root of doctor? Doctors?
Teacher.
That's right. Docere, which means to teach. So if you go to the doctor and you didn't learn anything other than, not to go again, then you weren't at the right doctor. You were at a clinician or a surgeon. I have a doctor of dental surgery. My wife, that Alia replaced for a while she went on a retreat, she didn't even know what DDS stood for, Doctor of Dental Surgery. I was a surgeon. Man, I cut stuff out. I cut shit out. Right?
I'm a surgeon.
Yeah.
When in doubt, cut it out.
Exactly. How does the body deal with a foreign object? It either has to surround it and kill it from all sides, or it has to push it out through the skin. That's the way the body basically, right? Is that right? That's basically how the body heals.
Well, think about chemotherapy, radiation therapy. What do they do to tumors?
Yeah, they poison them.
Well, they shrink them and eliminate them. Now, because our environment is not changed, and these substances also had a side effect of other cancers.
Right.
But our bodies are healing machines.
Right.
When you remove the offending inflammatory agents, toxins. Isn't that simple as that?
Exactly. When my wife was going through chemotherapy, it was like, eat whatever you want. Calories are good. More calories. You go drink her Coke and all this stuff, and just more plants. And just like, it was terrible. It was terrible. She just kept throwing gas on the fire. At one time I was going to throw gas on the fire. My dad caught me. He just like, he knew, like, do not throw gas on the fire. We use diesel fuel a lot to start fires, but not gas. Right. So when these kids are throwing gas on the fire in the form of refined carbohydrates or not refined even carbohydrates, they're throwing the gas on fire. The diesel fuel is the fats. That's where the slow burners, the coal and the diesel fuel, those are slow burning things, and you can burn for hours and hours on those carbons. All you're looking for is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen.
Let's get some
Speed
questions.
rounds.
Let's go rapid fire questions.
Yeah, let's go through here. We got we got 5 minutes. Okay, good.
Right,
All right,
Alia?
We have 5 minutes.
thank you for letting me
Don't worry
pontificate.
about it. We might go a little longer, just rapid fire.
All right.
Okay, Michael Pregler, do you believe bad oral health leads to heart disease?
It's, of course, as I said, it's systems. Your systems are breaking down. Your integumentary system breaks down. Your cardiac system is connected to it. All the systems. There's 12 of them. You might as well just celebrate one system every month for a year. There's 12 systems. Go look and
What breaks down? No.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you're right. It's inflammation, localized systemic. I had gingivitis, esophagitis, gastritis, duodenitis. I had colitis, which was local and systemic. That's what it is.
When somebody breaks into your house, do you care what they used? They broke into your house. They stole your stuff, right?
You got it. Next one.
They got through the outer. They got through your outer shell. They
You already did that one.
We did that one. Okay, good.
They
Yeah,
got
we did
in.
that one.
We talked about root canals. It's an individual basis. It's all about germs. Can a tooth resorption be reversed? That's something crazy goes on in the genetics when the body turns. Basically, it's your body. It's an autoimmune disease. Your body's turning against your own teeth. So that was one I never solved. I never solved that in my 40 plus years of practice. Just I would send it to the specialist. Hopefully, the endodontist would figure out why the body was turning on itself. But I know now it's the diet that's why the body turns on itself.
Your body's attacking the inflammatory particles that you introduced to your body. That's all.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Cleanliness next to godliness.
It's rocket science.
Sure, oxalate dumping, whatever. When I shoveled pig poop, for better part of my life, I wasn't too interested in what was in there. It was just poop. We had to get rid of it. It's just like put it out in the field. Let it recycle out there. So it's just I teach how to properly clean your mouth. Right. There's very specific locations that you have to do, whether it's electric or a manual brush. It's a science. It's a science of the establishment and the maintenance of health. So if you haven't been trained, dentist comes to your kids off kids school or a hygienist for an hour. Their kids aren't trained. They're just entertained.
Are water picks really beneficial?
What's that? Sorry.
Water picks.
It's
water picks.
It's just you're just hosing down the fire. Is it going to put the fire out? I don't know. You're hosing it down. Depends on what the fire is, right? Sometimes you got to use.
But in keeping your mouth clean.
Yeah. You're getting food particles. You're reducing the food particles, right away. But some are sticking someplace. So they're caught, and the bacteria already grabbed a quick bite, and they're going to be around. They're going to be happy for about 15 minutes while they grow and multiply and poop and do all that stuff. So, you should have a water pick at your breakfast. At your dinner table where everybody could just hose down and spit. Have a little bowl that you can spit at your table. Interesting process. What do you got now? Wait, how does a dentist put it? Bonding. We bond everything on. We're Bondo magic. That's what I used to do. I could, or we shave it down. We surgerize the tooth, strip off that outer enamel, and then put a false enamel on there. That's all we're doing all day long. Teeth and gums, repair or remove, and then put in new ones. That's basically, again, the definition of dentistry: treatment of diseases and other conditions, so forth. Hydroxyapatite, great. They mimic the rock. They found the chemical formula rock. You think you're going to repave a tooth that's flying around 20 miles an hour, smashing into each other, and that's going to stick? Come to Chicago and drive across the streets in the potholes. Expansion, contraction, hot, cold, freeze, thaw. These potholes pop up all the time. You put a little hydroxyapatite on it until the next truck drives across it, and then it flies out of the hole. Good luck with that. Learn how to clean all the teeth. Keep your germ count down to minimum. Have a few pets in your mouth, but don't have it a runaway jungle.
Okay.
Next. Going another hour.
We did this one. Okay. Old guy carnivore. Dan, how long have you been carnivore, and what you eat in a day?
Oh, steaks, and on and on. I'm a cheater more, or a treater. I don't know what we calling it when we fall on and off the wagon. I got way too much, sugar associated with, I was always on a seafood diet. I'd seafood and I'd eat it, but now it's starting to, stick to me. So I'm very grateful for Dr. Kiltz's book. I know I got it around here somewhere, and I've been working my way through that ever since the meetup. Buy that book, buy his book. It's the best.
Nice.
Best training manual you'll ever get.
Here we go. Is rinsing with hydrogen peroxide beneficial?
Absolutely. Right on the bottle, it says for, debriding agent, wound healing, it foams, it bubbles, it gets oxygen, it lifts stuff up. So if anything's kind of a little bit loose, the foam and bubble will lift it up and then float it out with so that's what I recommend at the end of the brushing or the plaque removal is kill those germs. It's definitely a germ killing effect.
I guess we kind of already answered this question, but what about toothpaste hydroxy?
Again, it's more marketing. It's more. Your own natural hydroxyapatite is the best you got. It's already formed. God put it in there. Hopefully, it's going to last your lifetime, or else you got to either take what you got or keep going on. Oh, thank you. Who's that?
Brenda. You might have met her at the meetup.
Oh, great.
Such a wonderful man with a huge heart.
Thank you. I got a huge heart. I got to go with my huge heart. I got a huge aorta. So we have to keep that thing all going.
I don't know how to say this name. So how do you keep your mouth clean?
Contact me. Clean Teeth Academy. Wait, don't go there yet. The website's still being built. What's my
ask Dan.
_Dan _the _dentist. Ask Dan the dentist. _Endocrinology. And I'll hook you up with my technique. So
Blissful. I have had an abscess for 9 years. I've been using Dr. Ellie Phillips protocol since October. I want to believe my teeth and gums can heal.
Yeah, if you remove the insult, you remove the bacterial insult. Again, you either got to surround it completely or push it out. So I don't know what method is what he's working on, but an abscess is just a localized area of bacteria, and they're dead in the white blood cells. Everything's a battle. It's a battleground. It's a war zone. Is all that abscess is. Good luck.
Keep going on the clues. Finish them up real quick.
Okay, we got
real
two
quick.
more.
Come on, real quick. Short and quick.
What should I use for toothpaste?
Something not super abrasive. It's just a soap. You can go to the grocery store and see 100 different laundry detergents, and you figure out what's best for you. It's the action of the bristle. It's the fact that little bristle is just ping, ping, ping. You're knocking off the bugs. They're stuck on you. You just got to get them off, right? It's like saying, what kind of mosquito spray? It's the fact that you hit the mosquito before it digs into your skin. Xylitol.
Next one, Elliot.
That's the last one, xylitol.
Yeah, it's got some benefits over sugar, but again, you're just fooling the body. The body's still going to respond to that sweet response too, and do all sorts of chemical cascades from xylitol. So it doesn't feed the germs, but it does feed some other metabolic processes that you may or may not want. I'll leave that up to the doctor.
Just hit the button, Elliot. Hit the button. Why are we talking?
Sorry. Yeah, I can go on forever.
Okay.
No, this is good, Dan.
We're coming up. Okay, I was looking at the clock the wrong way. I was thinking about hey, Super Tunes. I love it.
Email me, Ollie at drkiltz.com, name, address, and we will ship that off to you.
So
congratulations.
A right way does exist. That's the message. A right way does exist to do things. There is a best practices. Just got to reach out to me. I'll be happy to, there's a best brush. There's a best technique. There's a best, but carnivore is truly the best. So
fatty meat. Carnivores must eat fatty meat.
Fatty meat.
That is the trick. Organ meats, all of it are really amazing. And glycosaminoglycans. It's the glycocalyx we're rocking it on this, so like rocket science.
Everybody look up what glyco is. Everybody look up what the word calyx means, and then put those two together, and then you got that word. It's a science word for sure. And that's how you go. If you want to go to sleep at night, and you can't sleep, just read some words you don't understand, and you'll be out like in no time.
But the simplicity of the story of glycosaminoglycan. Bye, everyone.
Bye.